Guys, welcome to episode 4 of the Portland Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm Stephen Tran, a Portland real estate agent and investor, and this is my co-host, Jordan Lee.
And I'm a Portland-based mortgage lender. I've licensed in 11 states, and I'm also a real estate investor as well. So who are we going to be interviewing today?
Oh, we have a great interview. It's with Alex Phan. He's a principal broker at Keller Williams for the Diverse Realty Group. Funny thing is, he's my principal broker. He's been in the industry for over 15 years as a top producing agent in the state of Oregon. And last year, he was PMAR Realtor of the Year.
Yeah, that's right. And, I first met Alex when he was the president of the local chapter of the Asian Real Estate Association of America. He was serving as the Portland chapter president. So I've kind of known him as a super generous guy with his time. He's always investing in leadership opportunities and local boards and charities. But Stephen, as we'll see, we also know him as a real estate investor, right?
Yeah. He flips multiple homes a year, and I know he just dipped his toes into commercial with a 10 unit recently, so that's fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. But not only are we going to learn from his successes, but we're also going to learn from his failures, which I also love about Alex is, he's an open book and super ready to talk about, because it's not always just sunshines and rainbows when you're investing in real estate. And yeah.
No, he definitely tells me a lot of those stories. He's a great mentor, great principal broker, and definitely tells me a lot of the horror stories in the industry. And with that said, let's get into the episode.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Portland Real Estate Podcast. We're here with Alex Phan, and I'm Jordan Lee, and
I'm Stephen Tran.
Hey, so Alex, maybe you can just give us the quick 1-2 on how you got into real estate. I know you started really young, so maybe you can get into your story.
Sure. Thanks for having me part of the podcast. I've been watching you guys. Love to be here. So I was licensed in 2007, and I decided to get into real estate because I bought my first home. I was in college. I was working at Intel at the same time, and home ownership was always a dream, basically. I think my parents, being immigrants to this country, understood that home ownership was a mechanism to build wealth in this country. And so to me, and my parents being able to buy their first home too is really impactful for our family when that happened, when we bought our first home. We were renters before, and we lived in probably at least 8 different apartment complexes, and I make the joke sometimes my dad would move so frequently because there were move-in specials all the time, so we would be able to save on rent and take advantage of move-in specials, right? And so
wait, back in the day you could get, what does that even mean? I never even heard of that.
Yeah, like apartments would say, hey, 2 months free move-in special, 2 months of rent free.
Really? So you if you sign a 1-year lease, yep, you would get 2 months of rent free.
Yep.
It wasn't pay a deposit for 2 months of rent. It was
right. Huh. Yeah, totally different than this market, and we'll see, how it shifts, but back then, yeah, it was apartment living, and I actually did a video one time, like going back to one of those apartments, sitting there and like reflecting on where our family has come since those days. And so I decided to buy a home. I bought my first home in college. I actually used, student loans and
wait. Hold on. How did you do that?
Well, back in 2007, Jordan, stated income was a pretty popular thing, and
okay,
there wasn't much checks and balances.
Okay, so you were going to school. You weren't working at all.
I was working.
You were working like on campus, or?
I was working at Intel. So I
was. Okay. So you were working at Intel while you were going to school.
Yes.
Okay.
Was your state income?
Well, I did not
correct?
graduate school, by the way, so that we can say that now too. I wasn't so focused on the school part, but yes, I was in school, I was working, going to Portland State, commuting. I was living at home still with my parents, and so making that commute. And I really wanted to be out and have my own space. It just wasn't working for me. So yeah, I did kind of utilize some of my student loans to help with the down payment. I did have income, but it was stated income back then, so they kind of did whatever. And I'll be honest, I probably was not a good candidate to buy a home, but everything worked out. Luckily for me, everything worked out. And I was able to bounce back. Even though in 2007, as many of you know, we headed into that major economic recession, so it was really tough for like 3-4 years for sure. But again, I was able to navigate out of that.
Who did you buy your home with? Was it someone that you ended up
Yeah.
working with later on then, or that's how you?
It was actually my employer's. Not directly my employer, but one of my management's spouses. So I was referred to a spouse of a coworker or a boss, if you will, manager. And I worked with her. Name was Sandy. She's amazing. And funny story, 10 years after I'd been a real estate agent, Sandy called me back and I sold her property. She hired me to sell her home. Full circle, right? And that's because she was getting out of the business. She was already, phasing out her business. And so, she was very generous and giving me that opportunity to have me help her sell her home. But I got into it because I had Sandy helping me buy a home. I kind of felt, being honest, and this is to no disrespect to Sandy, but I felt like, hey, I can do this, if this is what it takes, I think I can do this. And so I let's just get my real estate license, and got that. I was still working at Intel and really just kind of not very passionate about the work that I was doing in the tech field, even though I love technology. It just wasn't the right fit. And so I was working hard, still doing real estate in the background, and getting my feet wet and building up that experience, and kind of then made this decision to just go all in real estate, and here we are 15 years later.
Nice. Can you kind of just tell people what your role is currently and what you're doing right now?
Sure. I'm still in the game. In what I mean by that, I'm still showing property. I'm still listing property. I am the principal broker and team leader for Diverse Realty Group, which is a team at Keller Williams. And my goal is to help the agents on my team. Steven's on my team.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. I'm actually on. Alex is my principal broker, so I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, I mean, it's so funny. I met Steven at a bachelor party.
Let's not get into that.
Okay. But I'm so proud of him too for how much he's been doing. But my goal is to help everyone experience and be able to enjoy the benefits as I have, as I kind of shared earlier about really what you get out of home ownership and what it can do for a family, and in many different ways. So I just want to be able to bring that opportunity to everyone.
Yeah.
But really helping the agents on my team find that level of success, build out what they want in their lives, because I do believe that real estate can create many of those opportunities for people. I love it. And so I do a lot of other things too. You guys already know, but I volunteer a lot. Probably too much is what my wife would say. I need to scale back on the volunteering. But that's because I love helping people. I love bringing value and helping be a solution-based person and figuring out what it's going to take to get to the next step. So
yeah. And obviously we're an investing podcast. I really want to hear what, after getting in as a realtor and buying your first home, how did you get started in investing, and what did you do specifically first?
Yeah, so you bought in 2007. What happened with that first investment?
Was it as investment?
Because this is because it's an interesting time, right?
Yes. All right. You guys gotta know stuff, right? We all know what happened in 2007. Market crashed. I bought that home for $230,000, and then all of a sudden it was worth $150,000. So I was upside down in the mortgage, underwater basically.
This was a condo or?
This was a townhome.
Okay.
And I was fairly still young. I bought it in college. So I had roommates. I had college friends who were living with me. I was renting every room out in the house. It actually had an oversized 3-car garage, and I built a 4th bedroom in the garage. It was bigger than some of the other bedrooms. Actually, it was really big and comfortable.
You built it. You mean you put it on the
I put up a wall.
Yeah.
I put in carpeting.
Man, all yourself,
nice.
Huh?
Well, me and my other roommate Steve.
Okay.
So we built this wall.
House hacking back in the day.
House hacking.
Before it was house hacking.
The original house hacking. Build a room in your garage, rent it out, and
was that at least insulated?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. It was insulated. It had heat. It had a door, actually, and a patio.
Wow.
So it was one of those townhomes or really big, tucked under a garage.
Yeah.
And it had a huge space. So yeah, it was a pretty decent room. There was even a half bath on the ground level. So that person had their own bathroom basically.
Nice.
So it worked out. But long story short, going back to the story, a recession was here. I was upside down. I mean, I will actually show. I short sailed that property. You know, I had to. You know, so I didn't know at that time when the economy.
Well, why did you feel like you had to do that? Because you couldn't meet the monthly payment, or just because you were upside down, or?
Well, both.
Did your monthly payment change?
Yeah, was it an adjustable rate mortgage?
It didn't change necessarily. I had 2 mortgages on the property when I bought it. It was an 80-20.
You did like okay, so you did
or
100%
an 80-90 or something like that,
whatever,
you know? Yeah. And the rates back then were 8-9%. Okay. So the payments were pretty high, and again, the economy in general was kind of slowing down substantially. So income was tough. I had a lot of just young college consumer debt too. So it was all piling up.
Student loan debt.
Student loan debt, yeah, all that stuff. Exactly, I short sailed the property. The bank agreed to allow me to do that. I had 7 years of bad credit, honestly, after that, and where I couldn't obtain credit. But that was okay.
But what did you learn in the short sale process?
So much. I don't know what you mean.
I mean, because didn't you learn how to do a short sale, right?
Yes,
And then you did that service for other people.
Exactly. So that actually was what I believe helped me grow my skills and experience in real estate. So I was taking a situation where it was so depressing and bad for me, and I was like, how do I help other people going through this? And so I bought a domain, portlandshortsales.com. Very lucky. Started building resources on how to help other people that were going through the same situations as me. And I started becoming like a counselor, just talking to people about the hardships, helping them through it. At the height, I had like 20 plus short sale listings at a time. And it was so much work, like processing short sales. But that's what gave me kind of the platform to build a business on. And then I built reviews and client base from that. And it kind of just started going from there,
So you were kind of like the go-to for short sales at that time.
Yeah. Me and a handful of other agents in the area were really focused and specializing on short sales. So yeah, I was able to grab a big chunk of that market share and use that as a foundation to continue building the business. Anyway, so short sale that property. Didn't have credit for a long time, but worked really hard. I was saving a lot. My partner at the time, spouse, she qualified for a loan, so she bought our next home because I couldn't get a loan, on a home anymore.
Sorry, a lot of our listeners might not really know what a short sale is. We haven't had those recently. It's kind of that term is something that a lot of people use, but maybe a lot of us don't understand. So what does it mean when you sell your house short? Because you were, like you said, you were negative equity. You talked to the bank, and what did that mean for you?
Okay, a short sale is when you owe more on the mortgage than what the home would potentially sell for on the market. So in that example, I owed $230 plus arrears, and in the market at the time in the market, it was worth $150, and that was a decline. It kept declining, right? Like, hey, it's worth $160 now. Next month is worth $150, and so we put the home on the market. A buyer came, made an offer. You have to go and get approval from the bank to sell it for less than what they owe. Banks aren't just going to allow you to sell it for less. You had to have a complete hardship package, which you had to prove that you had a real hardship. You didn't have the ability to repay back the loan on those terms. And so based on the hardship, the lender or bank would potentially approve you to sell it for less. Some lenders would approve short sales, but still kind of put you on the hook potentially for difference in the future, But as a short sale negotiator, my goal was always to get a full release from the mortgage holder from that.
So you're released from the debt, and then you have, of course, the short sale on your credit. But otherwise, you didn't have to repay the debt. And weren't you able to collect a commission though? Or are you able to get paid? How does that work?
I could not be.
You couldn't represent yourself.
I couldn't represent myself. It wouldn't be an arm's length transaction in that scenario. So yeah, I had a different broker list the property, sell the property, etc. Yeah, but yeah, I was able in my particular scenario. Fortunate enough that the lender approved my hardship package. gave me a full release from the liens and liability of repaying them in the future. So all that negative balance wasn't going to affect me. But afterwards, once it was completed, it's permanent on your credit history for at least 5 to 7 years, and then for me, it took the full 7-year cycle before I saw that my credit started actually rebounding and growing, interestingly enough, so yeah, I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, that makes that makes sense. So you were helping other people afterwards go through and negotiate that same process. You had the experience.
Yep.
But during that time period, you were saying you were able to still invest in some property with friends, or how did you end up doing that?
So
You
then,
said through Kim, right?
Through Kim.
well, that was buying our next home.
Okay.
So we still had to live somewhere, and my now wife at the time, she had a good job still. She's in the healthcare field, so she was able to still get a mortgage, and she was the purchaser for our then home. And then I continued working on building my real estate, just my job. My next investment I got into was our first flip. I've always been interested in wanting to flip properties. I know we all see shows and watch at least I do watch HGTV. I'm a realtor, I watch that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it, but a lot of fear about how to do it, where to find the property, how to finance, how to have the money to do it. I'm not a contractor. I don't have all the experience. So like most people, it was really a huge undertaking and seemed overwhelming. And it kind of the first one fell in my lap. I was an agent for a seller, helping a person sell their home. And this is still at the end of that 2009, 2010 period where the market was still not like it is today. And my client really had to get out of his property. And we had it on the market, weren't getting interest. I naturally said, hey, time for us to consider reducing the price. What price would you consider? And the number he and his wife said to me was so shocking. I was like, are you sure? Would you sell it to me for that price? And he said, yeah, if you would buy it, I absolutely would sell it to you, right? And I wasn't gonna charge him a commission either at that point, but and I didn't want to take advantage. So I talked to my broker, the principal broker at our office. We had a full appraisal done, gave the client options to back out. They didn't, they just wanted to sell the home. So our first flip came from one of my listings that I ended up buying. It was in Northeast Portland. I don't remember what we bought it for, but we ended up making about $50,000 on that project in a span of about 4 months. And so we used a hard money loan to purchase the property. I partnered with my then business real estate partner, and we 50-50'd it, right? It was I think a 10% down private money loan.
And they didn't care about your credit.
Exactly, didn't care about our credit. We had to form an LLC to get the loan, which was super easy to do. And then we did 10% down instead of 20. You don't have to do 20, 25 with private financing, but they do charge higher interest rate. What's nice about private financing compared to a conventional is that they don't have your traditional underwriting. They can close in sometimes as little as a week to 10 days. And it's basically all cash, So for a seller, it's great because it's fast and they just want to get out of the home. But it does have higher interest rate. I think that first one we did, it was, 12% interest, I think back then, or it could have been even up to 14 at the time. And there was 2 points that we paid to for the loan.
Typical, yeah.
Anyway, so we bought the home. We found a contractor on Craigslist. We were just we didn't know.
You didn't know connections.
We didn't have any connections. Yeah, so we found somebody who looked experienced enough, and luckily everything worked out. She was great, and we were able to turn it over. That house we finished out the basement. It had a basement that was unfinished, so we finished it out, drywalled it, made it carpeted. And the kitchen was already done, bathroom was already done.
Nice.
So we just refinished the hardwood floors, changed out windows, things like that. Total investment, I can't remember, but it wasn't high. It was maybe 50, 60K, something like that.
Did your hard money loan have that rehab budget in it?
No.
Okay.
I actually have never taken rehab money out of private money loans before myself. I and my real estate partner at the time, we had the liquidity to just pay the contractors because you pay interest if you borrow from the hard money
Right.
lender on those
Yep.
funds. So we didn't want to pay more interest. So we luckily just had money. We paid for it, and like I said, we ended up selling it, making about 40-50K on that, which we split, and that's 40-50K before taxes. I think a
Right.
lot of people don't factor that in. Yeah, you pay, and it's ordinary income.
Yeah.
So you're actually paying a pretty high level of taxes on that money.
Short-term capital gains, right?
It's just
Just as ordinary income.
Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, if you hold it for more than a year, if you buy a flip and you rent it out and you hold it for more than a year, then you can shift it into a different,
Yeah.
but that's not what we were doing. I wish in hindsight we had kept that property. Back then I think we sold it for $350,000. It's probably worth $600.
But then, it also, set you up to have more liquidity for the next project, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what flipping does. Flipping helps you build the bankroll up. Basically, you're building up that savings, that retained earnings, as it's called, and you're reinvesting that into other projects. So,
And commissions weren't as big back then either, right? I mean, that was, how home value, your average sales price was probably half of what it is now.
yeah. Being an agent actually does give you some benefits in terms of that, like Jordan mentioned, commission. When we see homes on the market and they're offering an agent, commission rate, I can apply that towards my closing costs. I can basically take it as a just straight cut off the price, which is what I always prefer to do. Because if you receive commission, then you're receiving income and you're paying taxes on that money too. So I just take the off the price, right? So lower sales price, lower financing price, all that stuff.
Okay.
And
That's fine.
so gosh, looking back, I've done 10 flips now. And luckily I haven't lost my shirt on any of them yet. Knock on wood.
But now, and you use one contractor now who's like your main person. That's the same person for every job at this point.
Yeah.
You still use private money, or are you more HELOC or a combination?
It's a combination in the terms that I sense that I use the HELOC for the down payment if needed,
Yeah.
but I'm still going through private money for
Okay.
the financing.
Just extra finance.
Yeah.
And then are you more doing flips to sell, or are you doing them more for burring, or a combination of both?
We did our first burr this last year, or it was this year, I guess. And like I said on that, I wish I kept them all. And they didn't know. Like you're always like, hey, we need the money, right? We want to get out of it. So burr is when you buy a property, you rehab or renovate the property. You then rent out the property. After it's completed, you get a tenant, you put it in the rental pool, and then you refinance it with ideally a cash out refi to pull out all of your original or initial investment or part of it, right, to get you that cash back. And now you stabilize the property with a tenant in place that has a rent that's covering the mortgage more so, right, giving you some positive cash flow. So, and then the last one is repeat. You take that money you were able to pull out and you go do it again. So we held our first one this year, and we're making about, I think, roughly a $400 spread still on that property.
Wow.
And I refinanced that with Jordan.
Yep.
So
And you weren't stuck in too much, right? You were only stuck in like 15 or something like that.
After the cash out?
Yeah. Were you stuck in just a little bit? I can't remember the numbers.
Yeah, were you able to get your whole initial investment out?
Yeah.
Oh, it was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were stuck in a little bit, but
Just the
that's
perfect
cool.
burr.
No.
Just
Yeah.
the perfect bird.
Yeah. I think.
What
I
about
did.
didn't you do a commercial one too?
Yeah, this year, so we tackled our first biggest project. We bought a 10-unit mixed-use commercial property in the Park Rose area of Portland on Sandy Boulevard. Also, I acquired that property through a wholesaler, and so it landed in my inbox. I went out to take a look at it, and since Jordan mentioned I've got this contractor I have a really strong relationship with now, and kind of trust and depend on them. I looked at this big project and I was like, yeah, we could do that. It's totally right up our alley, and we were looking for something bigger. And so we were able to take it down, and, it's a process, a long process, but, we're getting through it, and I'm very excited. Actually, it was super amazing. It came down on the wholesale list. We got it for, $750.
Oh my.
and
Crazy.
10 units.
That was
Okay.
less than I thought. I thought you said it was 800.
Well, it was listed at 800.
Okay.
I got it in contract for 800, but as I went through my
Due
kind of due diligence,
Yeah.
you know, I was like, oh, this is worse than I thought, you know, basically. And it's funny because the wholesalers, they don't have any information on the property. They're
Right.
all speculating too. So I would say be careful about what, like all these wholesale lists, they'll give you these estimated budgets and things. They don't know anything, first of all. And I don't mean that to disrespect them, but they're making assumptions, basically.
Because they're not spending the
And
money
they're
on
not inspecting the
inspections.
property. They
They're
don't
not
know
walking
these
out with
things.
a contractor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whatever the homeowner tells them, they're gonna make some assumptions based
Right.
on what they know. So you shouldn't always look at those numbers. But in my case, those brokers gave me some assumptions on the sewer lines being, you know, really bad and the foundation being really bad. Wasn't really that bad, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hey, thanks guys. Anyway, whatever, right? But it is still a tough process. But anyways, we got it for $745,
Amazing.
and it appraised for 1.2 as is. So that was crazy. And yeah, I gave myself 18 months to work on this project. In the sense, like, I want to make sure, like, from start to finish, it's completely stabilized, all renovations done, and we're now 6 months into the project. 4 units are complete. I just we offered cash for keys for 3 of the tenants this week to move them out. 1 person accepted yesterday. I'm hoping the next 2 accept over the next week, and then, you know, evictions on some other units, you know. But
You give them like how many days for cash for keys to get out?
we gave them a 14-day period for the offer period.
Yeah.
And then the amount we offered will be reduced after that. And we offered more than what it's in Portland, so we offered more than what City of Portland's base is for the unit size.
Yeah.
To incentivize them to just take the offer. After that it'll diminish, and then we give them like a 30-day period to make the move.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I remember I was in the office when you said this deal came across your table for 10 units for this price point. I was like, can I get in? You're hesitating, and I was like, you should go buy it. Like, I don't care where it's at. I don't care if it's class D- tenants or whatever. Like, that's a good buy, you know? Even if it's just studs and, you know, you have the capacity to just kind of build out that many units. Like,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, yes, it is, but it's hard too. I mean, like, being real about it at this point, like, it's not for everyone. I mean, you gotta have thick skin and get through this and not be traumatized, basically. I mean, there's really, you know, it's a sad thing to honestly see in our city. I mean, I'm gonna share this too. I was there this last Friday with my wife. We were in a vacant unit, measuring for windows. There's literally a gunshot bullet in the window where we're standing there. And you know, long story short, I had to call 911 because there was something happening at the property at the time, and I haven't been able to engage with the police yet on this property. So there's an opportunity for me to do that. Anyways, I was on 911. You know, when I dialed 911,
Yeah.
it was literally 5 minutes before the operator answered my call. That was like a wake up call in the city. Like, whoa, if this was a real emergency, 5 minutes just went by where I'm on hold. So I don't know. I gotta write a letter, I think, to somebody. But anyways, an officer came out, met us, and talked to him. But yeah, be aware of where you're buying property. Understand the locality. Build relationships with local people if you're not going to be there, because you don't know what's happening, right? Anyways, it's a great investment. I'm very excited, happy for it. So yeah.
It takes a little bit of work, but the long-term reward is significantly higher, right?
I
Totally.
mean, even short term, like you said, you just had it appraised for
That's true.
significantly more than you bought it for. Like what? That was like what, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
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 And did that mean
Yeah.
you were able to refi and recapture yet, or you're
Not
waiting
yet.
until it's stabilized before
I'm waiting.
you refi?
Yeah, I'm
'Cause
gonna
then
wait.
you can get the max, basically.
Exactly. Once I have it fully stabilized with all new tenants at market rate rents and the whole property cleaned up, I believe it will appraise for north of 1.5. Our rehab budget on this project, so you guys know too, like it's like $300K to remodel. So I bought it for $750. I'm gonna put 300 plus into it, so we're in for $1 million. So if I do refi at 1.5, yeah, I've got equity, but I don't know how much I will pull. It obviously depends on the numbers at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
But my goal again is to do the BRRRR, ideally get my 250, 300 back out, and just refinance at the $1 million and keep the cash flow.
And then get property management and everything to
Yeah.
manage.
Yeah, and I've got professional management. This was my first time actually. So all of my single family rentals I manage myself that I personally own. This was such a big project and the types of tenant. I just didn't want to be involved in that layer of it.
Yeah.
Because you can take it so personally, right? You know.
No, I get that. So I don't think we got into the other rentals you own other than the Woodlawn one that you have as
Yeah.
a burr. Like how many other rentals do you have?
I mean, I've got one in Roseburg. I've got one in Lincoln City. I think that's it. So
Okay.
Between those, I got 10 in Portland, so that's 12.
Yeah, that was a big jump.
Yeah, well, I went from 2 to 12.
2
Basically.
doors to Tondo, and
Yeah.
that's all in the commercial. And you don't have anything else in the commercial space either.
No,
Okay.
no. My family, has some property that I help them manage.
Oh, that you
as
help
well.
them manage.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
that's right. I
yeah.
thought there was another space.
Yeah, there is other stuff that I help with in my family.
Yeah, and so obviously you have the flipping, and now you have like these properties you're holding. Does that really kind of change your strategy moving forward, or what is your thought process?
Yeah, I think I've been trying to buy a flip again this year. The market is so tight. I have not been able to buy one, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I figured I don't know how much of you guys pay attention to the meter, right? If I had bought something in January, February, I would probably be finishing and going on the market now or soon or later, right? And the market has taken a little bit of an adjustment.
Yeah.
So I'm actually okay because people were paying $400K for fixer uppers, And I was like, I don't see the margins in here for me to get out.
Didn't values increase 3% in April?
They did.
I mean,
They did. Yeah, they did.
I mean, that's 1 month,
But
3%.
where I always kind of, this is personal. When you see everybody getting in at this time, everybody wants in. Like, I gotta slow down, be cautious now because
Sure.
everybody's getting in. Everyone believes it, and I didn't want to fall into a trap again. So I didn't want to get caught holding the bag, if you will, right? And everybody's and their mom is getting into investing basically. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just watch it, see, and then wait for the right opportunities. You got to be ready for the opportunity because when the opportunity does show up, if you're not prepared yet, you don't even have a chance.
Yeah.
So you got to be patient and diligent about it, but being prepared with your finance ready to go, your whatever else. That way, when I spot a deal, I know I'm just gonna buy it and close on it. And if it gets too escalated, I'm gonna waver and just watch. And I'm glad I kind of did because I feel like the market's a little, whatever right now.
And if it's something that you're going to hold on to long term, you don't really have to worry about that as much, right? That's
Yeah.
the timing, as long as it.
Rents are continuing to grow still, and so the burr. I think, seeing to your question is I'm gonna do a combination of both. My wife Kim, we said our goal was always to be able to ideally flip 2 properties a year and hold 1 property.
Okay.
So do 2 flips and hold 1. So 3 a year, hold 1. Or I made it a goal on my last birthday was by the time I was 40 to have 40 doors. So I only have a few years, and that's going to take going from 12 now to 40, right? So bigger jumps. So we are looking for larger multifamily properties out there that need to be renovated and turned over. So that's something we're looking more for.
You went 6x last year, so you shouldn't have trouble going 4x
6x every single year.
Yeah, well, but you take them, when you find them.
That's true.
Right? So
it's all about
you can't always predict. I'm not gonna make an offer or buy something just to get to my goal. It's still gotta make sense, and I just. Going through that short sale from 07 and that then really taught me a lot about just management of your money and making sure you're you keep home base safe.
Not over leveraged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of that, I feel like a lot of real estate agents and people in this industry too are hyper focused on rentals and real estate. Do you have a more holistic approach to finance from going back based because of that? Like, do you also put money into a 401k and an IRA? Do you do that stuff as well? Work with a financial advisor?
I don't have a financial advisor. I do invest or put money away I'm a small business owner, so I have an IRA set up. I haven't done a 401k. We don't, I don't have any other employees right now, so it doesn't make sense to do that for me. But I continue to put money, the max every year I'm allowed to do to my IRA.
Oh, with a SEP IRA, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
Which is the huge benefit of being self-employed, which I hate to say it, but like we don't really talk about that as realtors. I mean, and lenders. I mean, we're not self-employed, but a lot of real estate folk, I think, ignore that advantage. Is that you can put a ton extra into your SEP RIA because you don't have the 401k opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, for those of you listening aren't doing that, I mean, take advantage. I've seen it grow tremendously without doing anything other than making contributions. Stock market obviously is wavering right now, but you know, I'm 38. I'm not banking on looking at that money until I'm 60 plus years old, right? So
Do you know what the max contribution amount is? And it's all pre-tax, right?
it's based on what you pay. It's a percentage of how much your income is,
Okay.
or your salary. You know, so depending how you compensate yourself is going to be a percentage of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm newly self-employed, so I need to learn all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think there probably is a maximum, but then it's
Yeah, there's a max, but there's a percentage too based on your income based on that.
It's huge.
Yeah,
It's
so,
pretty high. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty high. It's good.
We can have a CPA come in and talk to us about that next time. That's our
Yeah,
I think we
next
know a
show.
couple, so.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, yeah, just making sure that the budget, you know, the numbers are all there. You know, for me, just staying out of debt, ideally, or a calculated leverage debt is okay with me. You know,
Right.
so
Yeah, having debt that you cash flow from is we would consider to be good debt, right?
yeah,
Having credit card debt, probably not that great, but if you have a mortgage on a property that you're arbitraging on, you're getting cash flow,
right.
that's good debt.
Yeah, and you know, I want to share that I decided to jump into the apartment space because I was actually helping other clients as a real estate professional still in the game. I'm helping my clients invest in properties and learning from their experiences. And one of my more recent clients who bought several apartment buildings, I was like, oh wow. First of all, I like selling apartment buildings more. Commissions are much nicer, right? And it's less emotional. Obviously, it's about the numbers, the cash flow. Obviously, the condition is still a factor of it, but just understanding the mechanisms for financing, understanding the cash flow that a property does generate. Those are all businesses, right? Every apartment building you look at is an actual business. It has a net operating income. It has a fixed expense, debt service on it, all that stuff. So when you're buying an apartment building or multifamily, you're investing in a business basically, right? So look at that rent. Our rents can continue to rise, stay flat, whatever it is the area desirable enough where people will want to rent that area, and that's a solid investment. Plus, you learn how they depreciate these properties, how they take accelerated depreciation on the properties, cost segregation, all these other financial tools that I never even knew about, right? Now I understand. It's like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. So for me, I wanted to continue building that. One of my friends in California, his name is Rich Kwok, with Century 21. I'm so amazed. Like, he and his wife have built up. They own like 7 commercial properties now, like from Burger Kings and commercial retail buildings. And again, you're buying a business. You have a fixed corporate tenant with a fixed corporate lease. So you're doing great.
Oh, triple net, and they cover all your expenses and your taxes, etc.
Exactly.
Yeah, and well, obviously with your transition into this multifamily, you got a property where you're obviously fixing it up. You're gonna get the market rents up, and then you can force basically appreciation on that by getting to market rents, right? So, is that something that's really exciting for you?
Yeah, totally. I love it. I love seeing the change too. I mean, really, I care about people at the end of the day, and I see the community, and everything needs work, right? You have to put effort into things. I'm doing my part for that one property, and I hope that's going to be something that shows the rest of the community, like, look, people are doing it. We can do it. We can revitalize this area. And I see Park Roads. It's going to blow up too, just like everywhere else. So it's a matter of time. Always time.
And so, I mean, Alice, as you mentioned earlier, you're involved in a lot of other types of things in real estate. What do you see being a realtor or a real estate agent, a broker, as giving you access to other fields, whether it's the nonprofit, politics, those types of things? Have you felt like that gives you access to these other things that working at your other job didn't?
Yeah, for sure. The people I meet every day, I mean, when you work in real estate, right, the home is an essential part of everybody's life. So being able to serve clients, I have a very broad mix of clients that work in, to your point, government, in healthcare, in technology, and every day I get to meet and get referrals to meet more people, of course. So that's how you build a successful real estate business, is always being out there meeting new people, providing them service and value. And for me, it has opened up those doors, because I always love that. Yeah, it's a great door opener. You get in real estate, you never know which door is going to open for you, which opportunity, right? You just got to walk through it. And for me, I enjoy that volunteering aspect. So I have joined a few different boards and things like that, and similarly, that's been able to get me more referrals. And so yeah, I think it's great. I think real estate really does give people that opportunity to find where their passions are, because if you focus on that, you there's plenty of business in real estate business in those areas. So
Yeah, that was great. And I would also like to mention, I know that I was a little bit humble about this, but he did win Realtor of the Year last year, so, or was it this year?
it was last year, PMAR.
2021 PMAR Realtor of the Year.
Yeah,
right?
Portland Metropolitan Association Realtors. We have roughly 9,000 members in that, and I was awarded Realtor of the Year, which is for me. I don't talk about it as much, Stephen, and humble about it, because really it's recognition from my peers, from my professional group. How it translates to my clients is that when you hire me, that the brokers on the other side do have maybe or maybe not some basis of knowledge of who I am.
Yeah.
I'm easy to work with, and I'm not a bulldog unless I'm negotiating, right? And it needs to be. But I think having those relationships in the professional field help my clients dramatically. When I ask for feedback from agents, they're very honest with me. They tell me straight up. And getting the real info is what benefits the client. They need to know what's happening, so that way we can adjust accordingly and capture the market. I'm able to, I have a pretty good track record when it comes to selling homes too. So people know, and that helps.
I mean, that's good, because I know you're not telling people, but I am, so.
Great, thank you, everyone. And I also feel like it's too egotistical to yourself to talk. So thank you for doing that. 'Cause I don't want.
I mean, it's great for our business, obviously, knowing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, my mentor and principal broker is Realtor of the Year. It really helps our business. So
Yeah.
I try to shoot it out any chance I get.
Of course, that's part of, like I said in the very beginning, of my role now is helping my agents on my team, find their level of success where they want it to be. It could be, building up a really diverse or, investment portfolio to replace their other job, if you will. Like you came from, a full-time software engineering position, and now being able to free yourself away from that.
Yeah.
Because you've been able to build up enough passive income, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, I think, everyone's dream. How can we live our own best life and what we want it to be? And sometimes we get into a career or job we kind of just continue with. We didn't really know, but we had to, because it felt like the best thing. And we're stuck in a place where, we make good money, we're okay, we're providing for our family, but we don't have that kind of passion or that energy, so we always have to find other things to do. I feel so fortunate to be in a job career where I love what I do, and I can do that. So,
And as we wrap up here, I wanted to ask you kind of two things. One, I know you bring on a lot of new agents, and you train a lot of agents. So A, what would you suggest to anyone that's interested in getting into real estate? And then B, just kind of how we reach out if one of our listeners would like to contact you.
Sure.
Have some questions, where do they find you?
Yeah. If you're interested in getting into real estate, whether as an investor or as a broker licensee, just say one of the best, advices I always got from somebody, right? And this is not a rip off from Nike, right? Nike, we all know, is just do it. My mentor friend said, do it now. Do it now. Is that something you want? Do it now. Go do it. Because, right, if you're not and you're just thinking, it's always analysis paralysis, and we end up not doing or not moving forward.
Right, don't go read a book about it, right?
Yeah, just go do it.
Yeah.
Go sign up for the course. What's stopping you? Just go do it, put yourself there, and you'll be there. You'll be one step closer, you know? So just get into it. Reach out to people like me, you know? I mean, you're seeing, like, we want to put out these things because we are approachable. Find a good mentor, a friend who's already in it. Hopefully they're willing to help you. I'm the current chair for the Oregon Realtor Diversity Committee, and I'm proud to announce we did launch a mentorship program this year for pre-licensees. So if you don't have your license yet and you're interested, you can actually join as a mentee, be partnered with a mentor somewhere in our state. There's a whole curriculum, and they can kind of show you a little bit about, you know, a little bit what it takes to be a realtor, how to be successful in real estate. And then again, if you want to get into specific investing, you got to find those people that are doing it, like us right now, you know, and talk to us. We're part of a group called the Asian Real Estate Association. We have regular meetups, or just mixers, if you will, where we just have drinks and just talk shop, basically. We talk about our deals, how we're structuring certain deals, where we're getting our deals, where we're getting the financing, creative solutions. So we share that a lot, because there's so much opportunity out there. There's everywhere you look.
I mean,
right?
we'll find partners there too, you know.
Yep,
which is also
Exactly.
great, so.
Yep.
Yeah, we JV or joint venture or partner on projects together. So you don't have to, like my first flip, I found a partner. You know, I did 9 flips with that partner before I ended up going solo completely. So it's okay to partner and do that while you skill and level up.
Yep.
You know, but just get out there and find someone.
Yeah, and if they want, like I said, if people wanted to reach out to you, how can they find you, basically?
Okay, go to our website, diverserg.com, which stands for Diverse Realty Group. You can just Google Alex Phan, you'll find me. Connect to us also on, actually a resource we all enjoy is Bigger Pockets. It's a great, resource for investors. Steve and I are both on there. And so, yeah, you'll find us. We're not hard to find.
Yeah, Jordan, and how can people find you?
You can just find me on my website as well at jordanleemortgage.com, and my Instagram is jordanleemortgage, so they're all kind of.
I said earlier, I do my business with Jordan Lee. Not just because of it, but like he's a great guy. He's a great like I said, we collaborate, we help, and that's what you want. You want a real partner. Jordan Lee's a partner.
Yeah.
And what about you, Steven?
Yeah, I'm also part of the Diverse Realty Group, so I'm also on diverserg.com, and you can find me on Instagram at stevennanquan.com, or not .com, at Steven Nanquan, so that's STEVENANQUAN. Yeah, I know it's weird. I've had it since I was 14, that username, so I just kept it going, so find me there.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be as popular with Little Viet Boy. I don't
Yeah.
yeah. I have to change mine. All right. Well, thank you both for having me here today. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for tuning in. Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thanks.